Welcome back, my friends. It's showtime here at Manny's Irish Pub. We're going to start out today's show, August 25th, 2021, with my good friend and pal, Jesse Schule. We're going to focus on the BMW Championship, which Jesse's going to be a student of the PGA Tour. It's one of my goals. I'm getting Rob Veno's attention on it for the first time, I guess, in his life. Yeah, I don't think he's ever bought a set of clubs. Jesse, welcome to the show. And do you own a set of clubs or not?
I do not. You got your work cut out for you if you're going to try and teach me about golf.
Yeah, that's I love challenges though. I've thrived on challenges my whole entire life. So anyway, we're going to talk about the BMW here. I entered a fourth round lineup, and I want to minimize it. It wasn't a $1 million one. But there were 800 entries in it, and I came in second. So the machine learning stuff I have worked in here has gotten better. When I look at it from when I started these models 7 years ago for the PGA, for the sole purpose of DraftKings, they're learning, and that was the whole purpose for having the models. So they're evolving, for lack of a better word. And pretty excited about this event coming up. And Rob Veno is going to join us here shortly. I see him in the backstage. I should ask him now before he comes on the air whether he wants to go through the misery that you're going to go through here for the next 5 minutes.
I got to ask you, did you win your bet on Tony Mejia last week?
I did.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned it, and then I saw him on SportsCenter wearing a Kobe jersey, and I figured that must have been a good one for you.
It was. It was that list of pizza bets turned into a meal for four at Morton's Steakhouse. There was only one of the five that did not cash, and that was a long shot, and it was a 20-1 type of play. But Finau was one of the ones I bet to win, and of those there was four other pizza bets on to win bets that lost. But when you hit 28-1, it really doesn't matter how many you played. But we're keeping separate records for it. Just aside from the show, which is hitting 64% here the last 20 shows. And Mr. Veno,
yep.
Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, fellas.
I think your mic's right? Your mic volume's a little light, I think.
Hold on, I can probably fix that. You tell me when.
That's the trouble with these live shows. We don't have any backstage stuff.
Is it better?
That's a little bit better, yep.
Is it better?
Does it go any louder?
Yep, I'm going to just keep going, John, until we get it loud enough here.
Yeah, as loud as that Tony Finn guy.
How about that?
Ooh, too loud.
Too loud.
Yeah,
How about that?
That's good.
That's better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see what the chat room thinks of that. They didn't say anything, but anyway, we're talking PGA Tour. Rob, as you heard, we were backstage there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the golfing guys are going to get me for saying that I came in second in a DraftKings, but it wasn't. I want to emphasize it was 800 entries, but it wasn't like the $1 million one. So don't think for a second I even won 10 grand. But the thing I'm excited about is the models are starting to work. 4 of the 5 in the big tournament did cash, and 3 of those did not have all 6 golfers getting through. I had 2 with all 6, and that's what your goal is. The other 3 did not. The 5th one did remarkably. Well, actually, it did poorly because it was designed to be an outlier. It had golfers based on percentage ownership that was extremely low. Of the 50,000 spent, it was 44,000 that I spent on those golfers. But if you would add up the amount that each player cost in any given tournament, it can be sometimes in the 30,000 range. So you don't have to spend 50,000, and I've never seen a lineup with 50,000 with every dime spent actually win. I'm sure they cash, but to be winning or top 5, you want to stay away from the temptation to spend all that 50 grand on the golfer, saying that you're getting the best player possible because you're spending all the money. But anyway, this week we're at the BMW in Owens Mills, Maryland. There is no cut for this event. There's 70 golfers in the event. Phil Mickelson was the last one to qualify at 70th position, so that's pretty cool for him because of the spectacular year he has had, and he is always going to be a fan favorite. But now it becomes tougher because you have the 70 best golfers in the world according to the World Golf Rankings. So we had 125 last week, 70 this week, 30 will play next week in Atlanta. The winner gets $25 million. Dustin Johnson was the winner last year. He is definitely heading in the wrong direction. Rory McIlroy's heading in the wrong direction. He had the 4th round he played was one of the worst tee to green rounds he has ever had. Even the best in the world can come unglued. We mentioned that yesterday with John Rahm coming unglued on 15. It looked like up till then he was having a stroll in a park and didn't even realize that there was other players even playing along with him. But it just goes to show that I talked to Nick Borman yesterday about it on the show, and in so many sports, one thing goes wrong and your confidence can be shot, even if you're one of the best players in the world. So what I have here is a player pool this week, guys, and this is the first part of it. So these are guys that are going to be put through my optimizer, and various lineups are going to be created. As you can see on this one, there's 7 lineups. The 5/7 means that Abraham Answer is 5 of the 7. But don't read anything into that because I haven't tweaked the weightings for this course. This course is a Tom Fazio designed course. It's 7,542 yards long, and that's a long course, but it's not going to give that huge advantage to the Bombers like DeChambeau. I do think DeChambeau is a guy to consider this week. People have been very negative on his game, but despite that, his approach game has improved quite a bit over the last 2 weeks. So he hasn't really made waves in these events for about the last 6 weeks, really. But if there was ever a time for him to make the move, it would be now. So these are the names you want to write down, and these are names that I will later tonight put out on sportsmemo.com what they are in terms of if they qualified for a top 20 and top 10. So I can tell you right now, Abraham Answer is definitely top 10, top 20. Jordan Spieth, top 10, not top 20 because there's no value in it. Billy Horschel, top 10, top 20. Matt Jones, top 20. Sergio, top 20. Webb Simpson, top 20. Carlos Ortiz, that's one of your long shot guys. He's not going to cost very much at all on DraftKings. That would be a top 20. Lee Westwood would qualify as a top 20. Siwoo Kim, I like quite a bit this week, and he's kind of flying under the radar as well. I would do top 10, top 20 with him. Stuart Sink, certainly a top 20, if better than 3-1 for that. And Brian Harmon is one of the guys that will be dominating the list of lineups. The second group, and there's 21 names here total. So what the optimizer will do is it'll look at the cost of each one of these players, and it will maximize each lineup based on their projected points that I assign to them, and based on what the model tells me to assign to them. So as you can see, Tony Finau is actually number 21 on the list, and he only appears in one of the lineups. So as well as he played and he won, the model is saying that he'll do well, but don't count on him necessarily being in a top 10. But if he's top 10, top 20, I think that's really all he cares about, being the points leader right now, because all it does matter is getting to Atlanta and winning. You can win the $25 million without winning the event. So it's all based on points for the whole season, but these last 3 tournaments are just loaded with points. So there you have the list of players here. Eric Van Ruin. That's how I pronounce it, but I noticed a couple of the other announcers now are calling it different. So I always like to try to get guys' names right. But he played exceptionally well. Had a rough fourth round in this last event, but should bounce back pretty well. Nick Borman and I talked about Cam Smith, who was in the playoff with Tony Finn. And unfortunately, had one of those bad shots on the first playoff hole. And I guess, he had to take a penalty shot, and it was pretty much over at that point. Tony Finn was on the green and had a 4-putt for him not to win it. But don't expect him to have a letdown because this is a 3-week event. Cam Smith is thinking Atlanta. He's thinking sometimes of that $25 million check, but these guys don't think about money or a check while they're playing golf. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a pro golfer very long at all. So these are the names, and I can, if you didn't have time to write them all down, you can view this in archive fashion, or you can just shoot me a direct message, and I'll send you them as well. And that's the complete list right there. I didn't know whether the print would be too small. You guys have any questions?
I got questions for Lance McCullers. Unbelievable.
Well, let's go right into that. Let's talk about him. What is there to talk about with him?
Well, Houston was leading 3-1 in the 7th inning with 2 outs and a man on, and he proceeded to walk the bases loaded, and they brought in Christian Javier to replace him. And on the first pitch, Whit Merrifield hit a grand slam, so it's now KC 5-3. So McCullers went from 6 1/3 of dominating baseball to, 2 batters where he couldn't keep people off base, and of course he gets yanked because he ran his pitch count up, and Javier was right there to frame one for Merrifield. So Houston 5 inning was nice. Houston full game doesn't look as nice anymore. The return of Alex Bregman by the way, was today, and also Kyle Tucker back in the Astro lineup. So they had a full lineup, had some chances, but that's how quickly, guys, a really good pitching performance can get destroyed. I mean, that happened within, I don't know, I guess there's a commercial break, so real time, it probably happened within 5-6 minutes, where that guy goes from thinking he's going to get a potential W, to throwing his glove and hat in the dugout after he watched the ball sail out of the park when Javier gave it up. But I don't think you should blame Javier. Probably has to blame himself for allowing the lineup to get turned around all the way back to Merrifield, who's the best hitter on that Royals team. And he took them deep. So Royals have been a thorn in the Astros' side up until last night when the Astros got a 4-0 win. But they're right back at it today. They haven't really played well, but it didn't take long to reverse that score.
What inning are they in?
It was at top of 7 with 2 down. So
still time.
I don't know if they made bottom of 7 yet. We'll have to see. I think it changed over to Cardinals-Tigers here now, which is 2-2. And they just turned a double play to get out of trouble. This looks like extra innings to me. Not really sure. And I think Cubs-Rockies were – there's a lot of day baseball today, guys, right? Cubs-Rockies in the first game of their doubleheader were 2-2 at one point. I don't know what they are now.
Is there a pitching change in that one? I got a bet on that. I thought it was supposed to be Marquez going in game 1.
Yeah, they reversed them, Jesse. They did. They reversed their starters. Gomber went in game 1.
Yeah,
and Marquez will go in game 2.
So that'll be a no action for me.
Yeah, and then I guess if you want Marquez, you just hop back in action in game 2. Looks like a 6:30 East start against Steele.
My bet was more against Davies than it was on Marquez, though. So I'm not that familiar with Steele, and didn't seem to find enough dirt on him to want to bet against him as much as Davies.
Something happened there
Steele,
because the Cubs have a 3-run lead now in the bottom of the sixth, 5-2 Chicago. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm just seeing the score.
Steele's pitching tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually have an angle of the day on that game, and I did some research with some graphs on Steele, because the more I researched the guy, the more impressed I was. But we can talk about that game later, or we can talk about it now.
Yeah, that's like Jesse's saying, it now becomes Herman Marquez, who was supposed to start listed as a game one starter earlier this morning. And then they decided to change, and Austin Gomber, who's been really, really good in Coors Field, and actually against anybody not named the San Francisco Giants. Colorado did have a 2-1 lead at one point in that game. Like I say, I don't know how Chicago's come back here, but they have. They've turned that game around 5-2.
I think it happened with 2 outs as well.
Only a 7-inning game, right? So they're
in big trouble.
Yeah, they're into the top of the 7th now.
Yeah. So we can let's talk about the second game.
Mm-hmm.
So show the angle first, which I think is this slide. Yep. So it's pretty simple again. You bet on home underdogs of plus 125 to plus 175. Last I looked, they were 135 dogs. Home dog is batting a horrid 165 or worse over the last 3 games, which the Cubs are. Game number is 82 or higher. And I made the query accept doubleheader days, so that if the Cubs would hit 500 in this game, it would not disqualify this system. So what you have is 26 and 13 money line plus 145 average wager, 26 units per unit made or bet. So $100 a unit, that's 2,600 in profit. And if not a divisional game, which this is not, the home dog is 15 and 5 plus 141 for a remarkable 79% ROI, 16 units gained. And guys, I call these my blackjack systems. And the reason I call it blackjack is that a lot of systems I have will win 50% of the time or less. So you would say, boy, that sucks. Why would you want to do that? Well, the reason you'd want to do that is because you're averaging, let's say, a 150. Let's say with this system, a 141 dog in the division. So let's do the analogy. You go to the casino, you play 39 hands of blackjack, and you do well. I mean, you win twice as many as you lose, 26 and 13. So aside from 21s, you would make $1,300 on a $100 per game bet. However, you make $2,600 playing this system. So it'd be like sitting at the blackjack table, and instead of getting paid $100 for a win for every $100 you bet, they're nice and generous. They give you $145 for every winning hand you have in blackjack, and that doesn't happen at any casino and never will. But it does happen with these types of systems. There's a lot of ones I can show in the future too that are massively losing percentages. When I say massive, like they're hitting 38% winners, but by averaging a plus 190 dog, it suddenly turns into a ATM. So we talked about this on the show a lot, guys. Win percentage for new people looking for handicapping, help, advice, expertise like we provide, should not concern themselves with somebody that only shows an MLB win percentage. It's got to show the ROI, because if people get lucky playing minus 200 and greater favorites and are lucky to stay away from losing one of those, you could have an 80% winning record, but the ROI might only be 8%. I think clearly the ROI is the most important part of a money line sport like the NHL and Major League Baseball. So I'll talk about this Steele guy a little bit here, and then I'll see what your feedback is on it. And then after this, we want to talk about the MVP race and revisit Jesse's pick with Guerrero, which he made many weeks ago. And it's looking better and better. But that's what we'll go into next.
No,
No,
not so much. No, I'll save it for
okay.
when you're done. But no, not so much.
So here we have this is Steele's pitch distribution, and this is StatCast metrics. So you can see that 63% of the time, and this is only based on, I believe, 3 starts. He's throwing fastball 94. Sometimes the gun has had him as high as 98. Guns aren't perfect, but they're pretty close to being perfect. But his league average is higher than most on the fastball. His slider is thrown much slower than the average major leaguer, given that he has a 94 fastball, uses the sliders like 5 miles an hour. In this case, it's 11, and this is what really stood out with me, with my knowledge of baseball and pitching. Then he occasionally will throw a curve, and then the changeup is really rare. He's left-handed, so he'll throw the changeup to right-handed batters because you don't want to throw a slider or a curve to a right-handed batter necessarily because it's going to tail into his wheelhouse, and it makes it a lot easier to barrel up the ball. So the slider, we haven't heard this word in a while, guys, but there was over the years a pitch called the slurve, and it wasn't fast enough to be a slider. It was too fast to be a curve, and I think that's what this guy is throwing. And he's throwing it extraordinarily well. And here we have the ratings of his spin rates. So fastball spin rate, he's among the top 8% of Major League Baseball pitchers. Granted, small sample size, but his spin rate is off the charts. And he gets tremendous. Like you will see this against left-handed batters. It will tail in on the hands and down. Now, left-handed batters, you want to stay away from four-seam fastballs at the knees because lefties love that pitch. Inside, at the knees, on the inner part of the plate, they will crush it. And we've seen Harper do that time and time again. Babe Ruth made a pretty good career out of doing that. Righties, they like the ball about waist high, maybe just a tad lower than that, and really out across the middle into middle of the plate. And that's just the difference between the hitters. But you can see that they're not really barreling this guy up, even though he's given up runs. Some of those runs were unearned. His max exit velocity so far is very good. So it's in the bottom third of guys being able to hammer him. But the spin rates, the fastball velocity is a little bit better than average at 60, but the spin rate is off the charts, and that's what creates all this movement. And here's the pitches that he throws. So he throws a four-seamer most of the time, 165, that's 43%. Here's the slider. But when he throws the sinker, look how incredibly accurate he is. Your swash here is almost as it's almost as big as or almost as small as the slider, which is by far his best pitch. So I think sometimes they get I could be wrong. The four-seam fastball sometimes could be mistaken for the sinker because it wasn't thrown quite right and it didn't sink nearly as much as the other ones. But when you see this guy pitch tonight, if you guys watch the game, you're going to see what I said with that tailing, diving fastball that he throws at upwards of 96, and it's elite. So now, does that make you guys want to go bet Chicago tonight?
No, it makes me want to. It talks me out of betting on Colorado, though.
Well, he's young. He's born in 95, so that makes him what? About 26 years old. And I think it was the second time he's been called up. He was called back up on August 10th, but he's had a dominating year at AAA. I didn't write those stats down, but he was unreal. I think the ERA at one point was under 1 WHIP was under 1. And then granted, it's AAA, and there's a big jump between, like the gap between AA and AAA is minuscule compared to the jump from AAA to the majors. And I think it's first 2 or 3 starts here. That's what we're seeing, is that adjustment that, wow, these guys can hit my slider, and the AAA level they couldn't. But I think I'm not going to bet this game. I will bet this game because of the angle of the day. But it's not one because of this pitcher analysis. I just thought that it would be fun to take a look at some of these StatCast metrics and show some visuals, and people, like pictures.
If I was going to bet on it, I'd probably take the runs rather than go for the lower probability and the money line dog.
And always do the plus 1.5 home run line. Yeah, that makes sense too.
In a 7-inning game, the other team's ace is going. It could easily be a 1-run game. I always like to go for a higher probability. I understood everything you said, and it makes plenty of sense. I found it very convincing. However, I think there's a bit of a conflict of interest when, as you said, you can make money hitting 38% of your bets, and for your subscribers, that's going to be they're going to be very satisfied with that. But that guy who came just today to buy that one pick, he's only going to be satisfied if he wins, right?
Yep.
And he's only coming back tomorrow if he wins.
That is correct. That's the battle we lead every day.
So it's a different.
This isn't one of my premium bets. Sometimes we give out premium ones here on the show. This is not one of them. But I'm confident enough to say that I would play this as a 4 unit. I just don't like the fact that it's the Cubs. And although the Cubs had a nice couple comeback wins recently, and they seem to have a better karma about the team, I can't trust them. Just can't do it that much. So I'm lacking the trust to make it a 4 unit play. So we'll probably make it like 3 or 4 pizzas.
I think where obviously Marquez is the known commodity, right? Marquez against that Cubs lineup should be what you think it should be on paper. The trouble with Steele, as with a lot of young pitchers, is 22 innings and he's already walked 11 guys and given up 5 home runs. And the 2 worst things you could do as a pitcher is put guys on for free and let it get out of the yard. When it gets out of the yard, 1 time every 4 innings. In a 7-inning game, it's not as drastic, of course, but just the percentage itself, 5 home runs in 22 innings and then 11 walks in 22 innings. It shows you that he's still young. Hasn't really found location yet. He's got good enough stuff to strike guys out because he's got 27 Ks in 22 innings. But, again, pitching in the major leagues is more based on location than it is pure stuff, unless you're just so out of this world. And there's a couple other young guys tonight that are, have great paths ahead of them facing off against each other. Cabrera for Miami and Josiah Gray for the Nationals, where Josiah Gray is concerned. The kid they got in the trade from the Dodgers for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. Gray is a guy who's always around the plate, and in fact, in his own words, I mean, when the Dodgers first brought him up, he actually said, "I'm around the plate a lot, so I'm going to give up some home runs." Since he's gotten to the Nationals, he's given up 7 earned runs. All 7 are on solo home runs. Guy's given up 11 home runs. He's only been up a little over a month. So, eventually those solos turn into 2 and 3 run jobs. Somebody's going to be on base at some point in time. So for him, he's going to have to learn a little bit of location too. And where Cabrera is concerned, he's as good at striking guys out, numbers-wise in the minors, as he is walking guys. Miami's very concerned about his ability to throw strikes. So you're going to see a guy throwing triple digits, 100+, and striking guys out because it was a strikeout machine in the minor leagues, and a guy who can walk, 5 major league hitters in an inning. So it's interesting to watch these young guys come up and get their chance now and see who can develop the fastest. Those are 3 guys mentioned right there that you might want to keep your eye on down the road. I know everybody, right? A lot of people were infatuated with this kid Jax from Minnesota, right? And last night Boston lit him up for 9 runs in 4 innings. So sometimes you get away with it for a few starts when you're brand new, and then all of a sudden it catches up to you. There's a lot of young pitchers that we're seeing right now at the end of August here, kind of getting their feet wet and trying to learn how to throw strikes and get some real location where Major League Baseball is concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Let's see what Jesse has for the MVP. Revisit his bet.
Sounds good to me. It might be worth pointing out as well that there were 4 home runs hit in Game 1 of the doubleheader, so the ball appears to be carrying well in Chicago today.
Well, that's more important MVP, for. I think that actually will favor Steele because he has that sinker that's going to generate a lot of ground balls. So I think in the first 2 innings, if he, if you're seeing 4 to 6 outs per ground balls, that's what you want to see if you're going to back the Cubs with him on the hill, as opposed to fly balls that are usually caught on other fields, but at Wrigley it carries a mile. So that's a great point, Jesse.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the MVP. Last week, Rob asked me how I felt about that bet, and at the time, I was still clinging to some hopes that Guerrero was going to be able to turn things on, and that Ohtani, he's on a team that's probably not going to make, or definitely not going to make the playoffs. So I still had some hope, but turns out that night Ohtani goes out there and tosses 7 scoreless innings and allows 1 hit. Is one of his best career starts, and Guerrero struggled. You got the injury to Springer. The Blue Jays are struggling, and I'm prepared to admit now that it looks like it's the race is over. I mean, unless Ohtani goes out and gets himself hurt tonight, he's got to win the MVP. I'm prepared to say that now. But one thing I will say is, it was a 4.5 to 1 bet, so it's not a bet that I was counting on winning. And one thing I always do, part of my process, is you take every losing bet and you analyze it and you try to figure out where you stand. I mean, did you get unlucky? Did you make a mistake? Was it a good bet? Would you make it again? And having time to think about it, I kind of think that it was a good bet at this point in time. I think if we had to do it again next year, if Ohtani is leading the league in homers by only 2 home runs against the next closest guy, and he's trailing in RBIs and batting average, and he's only got 5 wins pitching, I would make the bet again. And I've got kids. I'm sure both of you guys have kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to spoil my kids. I like to give them everything that I never had. So I buy them a lot of toys, and I'll tell you, my kids' favorite toys aren't the most expensive toys. Right. They're not the best toys. They're the shiny new toy. That's the one the kids want to play with, the shiny new toy. And
those are the ones that Tony Finn did not have as a child.
I don't think that guy had any toys when he was a kid.
No, it was. He had to work his fingers to the bone when he was 4 years old. I mean, he was a hard laborer, from what he says.
He's got that look about him.
Jesse, I'm going to agree with you real quick because at the time you made that bet, Vlad Jr. was hot at that point in time. He was hitting the ball real well. Now, when you make that kind of bet, it's a forecast, it's a long-term projection, and it's a lot of guesswork, right? The foreseeable future, he's hot right now. I'm getting 4.5 to 1. I feel like he's been hot all year. He can continue. I'll make the bet. You don't foresee the drought, really, that he's gone into as opposed to Ohtani. And Ohtani hasn't been that terrific offensively other than home run hitting the last couple of weeks either. I mean, he hasn't provided 3 for 4, 2 for 4, 3 for 5, whatever. But Vlad's just kind of gone dry with that Toronto offense. And I would say that, especially since George Springer left that lineup for the IL, it's been really, really quiet from those Toronto bats.
Toronto these days.
Yeah. Sometimes one bat elevates all the other bats in a lineup, right? I mean, it's who you have for protection. It's who's ahead of you, who's behind you. And when Springer left, he was red hot, and so was the whole lineup. So I would agree that was a good bet at the time, at the price, and it's just really, really hard forecasting out the final 2 months of the season, because I believe you made that bet back in July after All-Star break. So you're talking about the end of July, August, and September. Hard to tell. I think at the price it was, solid. And who's to say maybe he doesn't come back with a big September. But right now Toronto's just not looking all that good overall-wise, as they're kind of slipping out of this race here with the Yankees getting so hot. So, those ones are tough. I don't know how I guess that's how you grade it, because you said you grade all your individual bets. So I guess that's how you would grade it. A bet I would make again. But those are really tough. It's hard to see. It's hard to quantify where you went wrong making that bet, because it doesn't seem like you went wrong. When you're looking at that long period of time, things just happen.
Well, another thing is with Ohtani, the media is calling him the next Babe Ruth, better than Babe Ruth. And I mean, with the sample size we've seen from him, I think it's a little bit overly optimistic to make a statement like that.
Right.
And the examples I'll give, which might not be the best examples, but over the last decade, I've seen a couple players hyped, not to the same degree as Ohtani, but close. And the first one would be Yasiel Puig. In his first couple years, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the hype, but I mean,
Yep.
Everybody was certain that Yasiel Puig was going to be the best baseball player in the world for the next decade. And he's in the Mexican League this year. He might still be a capable player, but he's, his value has dropped off significantly. And looking back, I think he was overhyped. And the other one that I'll point out, a couple years later, we had Trevor Story in Colorado. He had an amazing rookie season. He had strung together a couple pretty good years. He's still a pretty good player, but he's not mentioned in the MVP conversation. And, I don't think that's where he was projected to be 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Tony Mejia. Can you hear me, Tony?
Did he freeze on us?
There, I don't know if I'm having internet issues or not, but
there he is.
It seemed like everybody froze. When I was a kid, Kevin Maas was the next Babe Ruth for like a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks.
He took over New York City.
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
He did.
Alonso seems to be the guy, now, with the Mets. I don't know if it's up there with the names that Jesse said, but it came to mind because he's won the back-to-back home run titles at the All-Star game. But
the two Mets, again, from being in the tri-state area as a kid for 31 years, but certainly through the 80s, Strawberry and Gooden won't make the Hall of Fame. Yet they were Hall of Famers for their short period of time before they both flamed out. But certainly Darryl Strawberry was as hyped as anybody. If I go back to that era, his buddy from L.A., Eric Davis, the center fielder for Cincinnati, very, very good, as hyped as anybody. Again, good. There's a list of a ton of them. I want to go to recent Met pitchers. We can just go to DeGrom's teammate, Noah Syndergaard, who was hyped like crazy, and now he's going to be a reliever.
And Wheeler.
Yeah, and Wheeler went the other direction. At least he's, contending for a Cy Young Award. But the flameouts, like Jesse was referring to, or the media. Of course, we're sitting with the media, guys, so I don't want to get too harsh here. But their tendency to latch on to one individual and promote him more than the other. I guess, Jesse, where your bet was concerned, your point is you're betting into that as well. You're betting into media hype because you've got the other guy, although Vlad Jr. does receive his share of press. For sure, and ESPN highlights. Was
Vlad Jr. leading the Triple Crown when you made that bet?
I believe he was second in home runs. He was two back of Ohtani, and he was leading the league in batting average and RBIs at the time.
Yeah, I mean that's a bet that you have to make for the value of it, because if Ohtani isn't as great on the mound as he's been, or if he gets injured, look, we had LeBron James as the MVP frontrunner in the NBA before his injury, and then he went down, and it was a free for all. So, from a value standpoint, the fact that Ohtani was christened MVP so early, I was in agreement. I said, well, I can catch him, can he? He finishes with the Triple Crown, and the Blue Jays make the playoffs, and the Angels don't. It's going to be a lot.
I would go a step further, and I'd say that at the time that I made the bet, I feel that Vlad was having a better season overall.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep.
There's definitely a hype machine.
Speaking of injuries to players and superstars, San Diego's Tatis Jr. is the front runner, despite being on the injured list twice with that dislocated shoulder issue. And he's minus 275 to win the National League MVP, with Muncy second at plus 725, Freeman plus 900, Bryce Harper plus 1100, Joey Votto plus 1600. As I'm looking at it at BetMGM. Turner then is next at 35 to 1. So I think of those five of chasing down Tatis, Muncy, Freeman, Harper, Votto. Any of those four capable of doing it?
Freeman for me. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the Dodgers just cannibalize each other, right? I mean, there's so many of them. It's hard, even though Max Muncy's second choice. Tatis, the way they're dropping like a rock, I mean, how could you possibly lay 275 with him? That's incredible. Joey Votto, you said if the Reds were to make a huge run, and Freddie Freeman his average has gone over 300 now, I think, in what's been a remarkable turnaround to his season. So I guess Atlanta has made a big run, guys, and maybe Freddie Freeman would be a guy if he could continue to post numbers. But Joey Votto's posted some real good numbers as well. Maybe one of those two lefties, John. But I don't think I could back either of the Dodgers, just because, again, every night's different with these guys. Max Muncy's a hell of a two-place hitter. His on-base percentage is over 400. He's 25, 27, 28 home runs, whatever it is. Very dependable. I don't know. I wouldn't play Tatis, I'll tell you that.
No, and Tatis does have a 6 home run lead over Votto, 34 to 28. Muncy's tied at 28. Lonzo's 28, and Freeman's 27. I've mentioned this only because we covered the American League MVP, and the fact that Tatis has been injured, missed 16 games this most recent time, and over that period of games, the Padres hit 7 home runs. He comes back in the first game, and I forget how many he hit, but I think it was 2. And led his team to a victory. He was 4 for 5. I know that with 5 RBIs. First 3 at bats was double, home run. That's what I do recall. So they're very dependent on him, even more so than the Phillies are dependent on Harper.
Dependent for what? Because they've done nothing
Offense.
but lose since he came back. I mean, it's not like he's carrying that team to any extra wins. They're a losing proposition since he's come back. There's other exterior reasons. Believe me, the pitching stinks, and there's a lot of reasons, but he's not carrying them anywhere. That's for sure. Jesse, you were talking about Ohtani. Tatis is a bigger hype machine than Ohtani, is he not? I mean, he's on every single commercial you see on television. They can't promote this guy as the face of Major League Baseball fast enough. So I guess in the National League you would be betting against, into that if you took somebody else, for fear that the writers and the people who vote on it are so in love with Fernando Tatis that even if they don't make the playoffs, his home run total wins it. How is he in RBIs and average, John? Is he close with those guys? I think he's only like a 280-something hitter.
Let me pull it up here.
I thought baseball writers were supposed to be more traditional and reserved.
287.
287.
95 games played as compared to Guerrero in the American League. He's played 123. Frazier, Pittsburgh, San Diego. After the trade, obviously San Diego. 122 games, so he's missing 25 games. If I'm adding that right.
Do MVPs get MVP when they miss that many games?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. When Tony mentioned LeBron James being injured, and granted he was out for a long time, but Tatis has been injured twice, and is still the massive front runner. 287 batting average. Let's see what else we got here. Well, we already know the home runs 34, RBI 76. Total bases 224. Guerrero has 270 by comparison. Jesse Winker of Cincinnati has 235. So that does catch up a little bit.
The guys that he's
110
up against,
strikeouts.
Yeah, the guys he's up against, John, that you mentioned. I think Freddie Freeman's got a better batting average, right? And maybe Joey Votto too.
I'm going to go with Votto.
Well, Bryce Harper does. Freddie Freeman does. I do not see Votto on the list here above him.
Votto's having a ridiculous, last few months? He's been...
Not only that, the Reds are just past the Padres, so you can kind of correlate that perhaps, that if the Reds actually knock off the Padres and bump them out of the playoffs, Votto's going to have to play well for them to do that. There's a bit of a correlation there. If Tatis plays well enough that he wins it, then perhaps that keeps the Padres up in the playoffs ahead of the Reds. And you get the better price on Votto compared to Freeman and Muncy.
Yeah, because All-Star break, Castellanos was their MVP candidate, and now it's clearly Votto.
That's real true. And Castellanos was only out for a short, 10-day IL stint. But Joey Votto was hitting a home run a day, right? I think he almost caught that Don Mattingly record of 8 straight games. And I guess, I've never watched an episode, but I guess if you're a fan of that Ted Lasso show, you're on Joey Votto's side, because apparently that's what he has going on between himself and the Reds manager. The Reds manager referred to him as some... I don't know the characters, so I don't know if I can explain it well enough. But if anybody here watches that show,
I watched that show, but I didn't see the reference.
Well, the manager of the Reds referred to Joey Votto as some what I would call stagnant. One of the characters that's not really. And Joey Votto said, "I'm not him. I'm the guy who's like there must be some kind of superstar guy in that show," and Joey Votto refers to himself as that guy. So every time he hits a home run, now
it's probably Roy. The character Roy is a veteran who doesn't play that great anymore, but he's the leader of the team and that sort of keeps the dressing room in check. I don't think he would want to refer to himself as the star player because he's like the villain of the series.
Well, when he hits a home run now, if you watch for it, because I saw this interview with Joey Votto, and he makes some kind of motion and says, "I am whatever the really talented character's name on the show is, player." And he said, "I don't want people to think I'm really cocky. It's just a thing between myself and my manager."
I see.
I want to show him.
It looks like Votto's being compared to Roy.
By the manager.
And then Votto says he pointed to the back of his jersey like Jamie Tart does in the show because David Bell kept calling him Roy Kent.
There you go. So he thinks he's Jamie Tart, I guess, is his idea. And
that's the villain.
I want to refer to myself as Jamie Tart, that's for sure.
But he's been on a heck of a roll. I'd like to see it for Joey Votto. What a great career that guy's had, and it's a real resurgence for him because I think – even those of us who follow every single day would have thought that his home run power was gone for good at this age. And it's certainly, I guess he's one of those guys where his swing, he can hit it however he wants to hit it. Been that way a long time, been a great on-base guy. I don't know what his on-base percentage is, John, but that's got to be up there with Muncy's. Muncy's the best.
Votto looked washed last season and the beginning of this season. He just looked like he was somebody that you'd have in the lineup and, he's better than
Votto,
but he is
Votto's
turned it
11th.
around.
He's 11th in all of baseball. Votto is 378 on base percentage, 573 slugging, which is puts him even higher, I think. Yeah, it puts him 4th in all of baseball. Behind Tatis, who's number 1, 649. Ohtani, 634. Guerrero, 595. And then Votto, 573.
Interesting race for sure. And I guess it depends on the month of September now, which, like Jesse said,
Yep.
you can correlate the Reds to the Padres at this point in time. They're the two battling each other. And, whoever has the biggest month. And we'll see. Maybe somebody else will emerge. I don't know.
And what are you getting? 22-1 on Votto and minus 300 on Tatis?
16-1 on Votto, 11-1 on Harper. Muncy was 725, and Freeman was 9-1. Tatis minus 275.
I still like Freeman. I mean, I think he checks all boxes in terms of having turned it up once Acuna went down, although Riley did too. A guy that can bring you home late in the season. What's he done in August? It looks like he's what, 27 for 82 with 4 homers. So, if he has a good September, he'll be in the mix. So, but we're all in agreement that Tatis is a bad bet as chalk right now.
Welcome to the show, Tony Finn. I mean, effing Tony.
Yeah, well, thanks. Listen, how come you guys haven't called me and told me you're having a show recently?
I don't know. I sent you the link.
Stuttering.
I mean, if I send you the link at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 5 o'clock your time. You're not going to see it then.
You got to send it to me 5 minutes before the show. Anything past 5 minutes, I've already forgotten. I'm old. No,
well, that's why I do it.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. And I was just putting this together for you. I have the results from where Votto voted on whether tax should be legal or illegal. He voted illegal. That's probably why he's doing so well.
Taxes should be illegal. I'm all for that too.
Spider tap, Sam.
No more tax.
Wow.
Joey said. I like it better when pitchers hit me too. I mean, have you guys noticed? I don't miss me. I've been watching. I was doing some of my editing and doing some updates for my September charts. It's just a shocking amount of hit by pitch recently. Shocking. I'd have to look it up. I can't say that this.
Well,
I have the evidence to say, look, the pitchers can't. Not only can they not, get a better grip, they can't command their arsenal. And it just seems like to me every time I turn a game on, somebody's getting hit.
So what time frame do you want me to look at?
John has the NRBQ stats for that. New rhythm and blues quartet.
All right.
Every time I turn a game on, a bullpen's blowing a game. Still.
Tony?
I got killed by the Rockies.
Pick me up. Don't let me down, Buttercup.
Yeah. I think I was frozen, but I got killed by the Rockies 2 nights ago, and I won big with the Brewers last night because they couldn't.
Brewers have been good to me. Brewers been very, very good to me recently.
Yeah, that was a good rally.
That was a very good rally. Very good rally.
We're very pleased.
The Baltimore Orioles have been very, very good to me recently too. Just blindly play the run line against them. Unless your team's at home. Don't do it.
Even though they'll win by 6.
Yeah, that's irrelevant. That's like saying to your wife that you never cheated on her just because no one knows about it. The same damn thing. I know. I bet on a home team run. I got a problem. Can't sleep anyway. How you guys been doing? I don't have I just checked in because I'm between shows, I'm almost done with these college previews, and I'm quite, not that I don't love being invited to do them, nor do I not enjoy doing them, but my time's pretty. All of you guys know this time of year, time is pretty valuable to us all.
Yep.
Yeah, it's closing in on us fast.
Too fast, man. Too fast. I don't have all my Star Trek shields up around all my games and my teams and my desk, so I'm certain to get bombed, have a few bad results. We'll see.
Tony and Anthony, I'm going to go back in time here on the show. I did some StatCast stuff on Jesse Steele, Chicago Cubs, that pitches in the second game tonight.
I'll tell you about Steele if you want to know. Hey, Tony, this is going to be bad.
Let's see if he underscores, because I might make this a bet then, if he underscores what I said.
Okay, talk to me.
No, John already gave his opinion. You give yours on Steele.
Steele?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Steele is a top. If it's worth anything, he's a top prospect in the system. So what's that worth? Pryor, Wood, no longer around. So let me see. Oh, John Lester? Oh, no longer around. I'm not certain. Maybe that doesn't make Steele worth much. I like Steele. In fact, yesterday I released the under actually in the Steele Marquez game, that Colorado Cubs game, because of the umpire, because of the conditions, because of the situation, and then of course it gets canceled, gets postponed. I ended up going 2-0 yesterday, so maybe you look at those as blessings. The thing I said this morning or last night was that's good. Now I don't have to go 2-1. So, but I like Steele. I like him tonight for the fact that the Colorado team, look, they're showing it already again in the first game of this doubleheader, guys, tonight. When they aren't in Coors, they are drunk, stoned, high, and unfocused. I mean, this was Gomber against who? Davies? Davies is still alive? He's not very, guys. He is not good. He's not good. He's not effective. He's not efficient unless he's facing the Rockies lineup outside of Coors. And you would think if there was one park that maybe the Rockies could be a little better in, it would be Wrigley with a little wind blowing out. But I'm not saying that's the case. But I like Steele. The fact is they haven't seen him. He gets this Rockies lineup. And Marquise, listen, unappreciated, most undervalued guy. Look at his numbers. While his road numbers aren't necessary, which is kind of shocking at the reverse Coors numbers where his road peripherals aren't as good as his Coors. We all know that's not real. It's not real. It's not reality. It's almost like preseason football. And what Murray said about, you hear that interview? It's not real. This isn't real. It doesn't count. I mean, it's nothing. I like that. I like that interview. And that's exactly what we're facing with Marquise. Marquise has been good. Look at him. I think it's just been really good. I haven't seen enough of him this year to get real passionate about it, but his numbers, the underlying numbers, are terrific for a guy who has to pitch half his stuff at altitude and in that venue. What do you think about Steele?
Well, I have it here in graphic visual form, courtesy of the StatCast data.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is
okay. So what's the? This doesn't mean that you're not giving me what's it in relation to. Can you give me what do you relate? What do you
well?
Like?
The fastball spin rate is among the top 8% in all baseball. Granted, he's only had 2 or 3 starts, but the spin rate is spin rate. Unless you alter it with a illegal substance. I'm adopting this, guys. I'm not saying foreign substance anymore because it brings in too many possibilities. I'm saying illegal substance as whatever the owners define as illegal to put on a baseball. I don't like using the word foreign because
could be domestic. Could be a domestic.
The substance is found here in the United States.
Okay, I get it, John. This is good. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, and there is no F in the word Tony, by the way. It's spelled Tony. So I'm still trying to figure out what that means.
What?
Spin Tony.
But his fastball.
Effing Tony.
All
you have to do is read my Twitter after a loss at effing Tony.
Now, what I did say, and I don't know how the wind would affect this, but it's certainly not going to hurt. With his spin rate being this high, this elite, and being left-handed, the left-handed batters for Colorado, which I can't name off the top of my head, are not gonna like this guy. And the reason they're not going to like him is because the ball is going to come in at like 94 to 96. And it has late sink, and it tails in and down on left-handed batters. And I mean, that's going to be effective with right-handed batters too, because it'll look like it's going down the middle of the plate, and all of a sudden it's going to dive away and down. It'll be,
yeah, John, you're right. Listen, I agree with all that. I really do. That's not really.
Rather
you
dramatic.
like him. You like him for one inning. Then what you're saying? You like him for 1 inning or 2 innings. Really, the caveat here, or at least the questions are, how many pitches are they going to let him go? Because he's only had, he's coming out of the bull. Basically, he's a bullpen, long relief, right? I think they're going to limit him to 80 pitches. That makes perfect sense. That would be, I think that's going to be the maximum. And what he does have, you've described pretty nicely. He has a 3.22 ERA. I think he's 11 K to 9. His command's a question, which is typical of a young guy. I think 4.5 is his BB/9, and that's just over 22 innings. So that's a small sample. His 3.7 xFIP, it's pretty much in line. It does indicate that he's benefited from a 2.31 BABIP, right, and a 90% strand rate, which comes along a lot of times with a kid in his situation with no seen, and he gets credit for the bases loaded, and he comes in, all he has to do is make one pitch, or maybe somebody gets picked off and he's credited for, what I'm saying? So that said, I still like him. I do. I'm curious as far as how much of what you just outlined in graphic detail is going to translate.
Yeah. And to your point, this is the control.
Yeah.
You see home plate here. The slider is spectacular. But it's a slurve. We haven't heard that word in a while. It's too slow to be a slider when you're throwing 94 to 96 and it comes in at 83. Mm-hmm. But it's too fast for a curve. So I'm going to call it a slurve. But this little puppy has tremendous, maybe not 12.6, but I would say 130, downward movement.
Yeah.
And I 80 pitches, he could complete 5 innings tonight.
Yeah, well, and
optimistically.
And it's only a 7-inning game, right? So
right.
Good stuff, right. They benefited from that too. Listen, you got a Colorado team, 211 away from Coors Field, guys. Not only that, they got a 284 on base percentage, a 324 slugging percentage. What a great first, really a debut for a kid, right? It's like facing the 5 of us,
So, Tone, drop him into tonight's situation, because here's my problem with Steele tonight, why I wouldn't play him. Kid's thrown 22 innings. Like you said, his control is a problem. He's walked 11 guys in 22 innings,
correct.
putting people on for free. And he's given up 5 home runs in 22 innings in a park where the wind's blowing out. Yeah. So, I mean, it's probably not the ideal situation to play this guy, right?
Well,
the lineup works. I guess you make a list of pros and cons. The lineup works.
Yeah, listen, no Rizzo, no Baez, no Peterson, no Finn, no Veno, no Anthony, no Jesus.
But the Rockies are tied for second in OPS against lefty.
Machine Gun Kelly. What's that?
Well, that's what they do well. A lot of it's cores related, but
they still hit lefties way better than righties.
Right.
And this guy puts on a lot of people.
And gives up the long ball.
I will say this: if he avoids, this is the kind of guy who lives and dies. A young kid like that. The umpire was right yesterday, and too, he had a big strike zone yesterday. Okay, he kind of lives and dies on, and depends more. These young kids depend more on an umpire than people understand or realize or want to admit. And if he gets a couple calls on the black and he doesn't walk anybody for the first 2 or 3 innings, he really becomes the pitcher that we know he can be, as opposed to that. What I think you're going to see today, for instance, we probably won't have to talk about it, but you got Cabrera making his debut in Miami. I think it's a horrible. One of the most elite hitter umpires in baseball is going to get hit. Cabrera gets this guy. He gets Lentz in his debut. It's a horrible matchup. It's almost like you've been. I'm going to go back to the wife thing. It's like your dad and mom are picking your wife for you, and they're not picking this wife because she's pretty. They're picking this wife because daddy's rich, and this guy's got no chance. he's got no chance. So really like the young kid for Washington tonight too, as well, guys. Gray, who really, despite the fact he hadn't been real successful in his 4 starts, really good stuff. Really, really in a good position against the Marlins lineup tonight. So I don't know. I'm on Steele. I'm not on Steele. I didn't play him. Didn't release him. I did bet him yesterday, like I said, in that total. But of course, that's a no play, and I backed off today because there was a lot of questions about how they're going to handle umpires in this doubleheader. And when I don't know that with a kid like that young, and how you guys outlined him, I typically, run as fast as I can, screaming like a girl, and yelling rape, so I don't have to play it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention one other guy. This one.
Yeah.
I forget what team he pitches for, but Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, that would be.
This was a big step. Big step.
What's that L mean next to Bradley's name? What happened in there?
Blown save, blown lead.
But here's the problem with this:
lack of a hold. Whatever stat it is.
What was the damn result of this game?
Phillies lost.
3-1. 3-1. They come home after a disastrous road trip. Can we bury this team, guys? Can we just go ahead and bury them?
I tried to do that for you 3 weeks ago, but you.
I know. I believed in them. I believed that they could. Listen, I also believe the Mets, who was on, a secretly kind of a closet fan of the Mets because I like Nolan Ryan in '69. I really believe that in this division that they could hang at least until the end of until the end of September and make it really fun. And man, oh man, did the ghosts of Mets past come back and bite this team right in the scrotum. It's bad.
Yeah. Hurt. Shut out by Sammy Long for 5 1/3 last night. What the hell is that?
It's disastrous.
It's just awful.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time of year, guys. We get passionate about some things and be pretty vocal and almost we can carry it for a while because usually we're going to be right. I'm one of those firm believers that right now it's the window of who a team is, who they really are. And typically, if you find a team that's struggling, man, I ride those sons. I'll bet against them until someone pulls me off of them, physically pulls me off and says, "Tony, wake up! The run's over." And that's the Padres. That's the Mets. It's the Orioles.
And you know what, Tone? It's starting to be Oakland. The last 5 games.
Oh,
it's starting to be
that
Oakland
bullpen is imploding. And not only that, guys, listen. It's the Houston. They're laying back saying we don't even have to play. We're going to rest guys because Oakland can't win.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the under. I got the under in this game, and they were, when you're giving up 5 runs to Royals, giving 4 up, giving that kind of a crooked inning up late in a game is, I look at that lineup. Bregman back, that Houston lineup. This is a team. This is the best team in the American League, balanced wise, right? They're not showing it either in the last week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I already bitched about today's game before you came on. McCullers, Lance McCullers. I'd like to choke him. It's 5-5 actually.
Oh, it did. If it's 5-5, see, I had a 9. I got a good number on a 9. I thought maybe I can get a push, so I quit watching it. So you wouldn't see me cursing under my breath or hear me. So 5-5, I lost. I had a nice little run going. It was 7-0 in baseball. Now it's 7-1. All because of a daytime total in Minute Maid with a Royals team that I'm convinced that Rob Veno can strike 10 out in 9 innings against the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, McCullers fell apart in all of about 3.5 minutes.
I know.
He's got 2 outs and a guy on first in the 7th.
I didn't see it, but yeah.
He can't throw a strike, And then they brought in Christian Javier once the idiot loaded the bases, and what's worse, Tony, is that he turned the lineup all the way over to Merrifield, and then exited the game, bringing Christian Javier. One pitch,
that's
slam.
Unfair. That's unfair to Javier.
I know, and McCullers is in the dugout. McCullers in the dugout throwing his glove and hat like it's Javier's fault.
Yeah.
That's what's happened in baseball all season, though. I hate it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I hate it too. I
think that's the worst managerial decision at any level is to allow a starter who obviously has lost it like
obviously,
you described McCullers. He
haven't
obviously
followed
lost
Dave
it.
Roberts this year.
Here we go. You had
Because
Well, how many
Dave
times
Roberts
did he
puts
bring
on
a
the
pitcher in
wrong-
with the bases
he puts
loaded
on
that
the
wasn't the
wrong
ninth inning?
jersey before he comes to the dugout. He puts on the wrong jersey. Can't remember what team. It's bad.
I thought that was LaRussa.
No, LaRussa just doesn't know the rules.
That's-
Doesn't know the rules, man.
I guess it's true.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't have to put that guy out at second base? I thought I had to. You don't know the rules, Tony, and you're a effing manager of the White Sox. Oh, it's listen. There's a lot of things.
Maybe you thought in home
make
games
me-
the home
there's a
team
lot of
gets to
things
put the
that
guy
base-
on third.
Yeah. What? Huh? I don't know.
Yeah,
Here's my last statement because I don't have a lot of time. My last statement is baseball makes me some things. These guys, the decisions they make me feel really good about myself.
It's like watching the Jerry Springer show in many ways.
Not Jerry Springer. I have better than that. It's like watching
Yeah, what's your show, Tone, where you always
yeah,
feel better?
Bachelor.
No, he's
Bachelor.
got a show. He's got a show that makes him feel better.
Shameless.
There you go.
I watched that episode of Shameless, and I feel like I'm a good person again.
Shameless is great.
Is it true? Am I right, though? The best thing about that show is that you watch that, and I'm sitting up straight, and I'm saying, you know something? If I ever call myself a piece of crap and a bad person again, remind me of that last Shameless episode because I'm feeling damn good about myself.
Level dipped when Fiona left, but
I
still,
know. Oh, yeah.
still a
Oh, yeah,
quality
I know.
show. But no, honestly, if you have an awful beat, you have to watch Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso will make you feel better. I promise.
Yeah, you're right. It's true. It's true.
It's a feel-good show.
So let's go to a final round of best bets here. We'll start with Tony Mejia, and we'll go then to Mr. Finn or F and Tony. Then me, Jesse, and Rob Veno. And you can take 15 seconds, or you can take a
leading
max
off?
of
Who's leading off?
90 seconds.
Who's leading off?
I'll lead off. But,
Tony Mejia is, then F and Tony.
That's second. Bat
no,
second.
actually, Tony, if you got to go ahead. I'll go second.
Hey, well, I do, and I don't know what I'm going to play. Let me give you a from the hip game. Let's go to Cabrera. Let's go to Cabrera, and let's go to Gray, for instance, in that particular game where I don't know, somebody put an alarm on my desk. I got a bunch of stuff here. I don't know where it's coming from, but here's a bad situation again for a kid who opted out last year. His 2019 numbers were really good. They were good. He didn't have a lot of innings. This year he had like a pinched nerve, I believe. He kind of had to recuperate from that before he got serious and settled in and stretched out. And his numbers at AAA are really good this year as well. But his innings are short. Sample size is short. They decided this is a good time to give him his big boy debut. And of course, when they schedule this, they don't know who the umpire is going to be, and et cetera, et cetera. But the Nationals are probably as good a club as any to put a pitcher in and believe that he has a chance to at least to some degree command that lineup. And in truth, guys, if he figures out how to get, if he's in a situation where he can pitch around Bell and Soda, then they could be successful. But Nick Lentz is arguably, listen, Jerry Meals, breadbasket size strike zone, but Nick Lentz, one of the most pitcher-friendly guys. Hitter-friendly guys. He never met a pitcher he liked. Never. You know how guys in basketball, shooters never met a shot they didn't like. Never met a pitcher he liked. Always in an argument. Always having pitch. You know how hitters yipe at umpires. It's the pitchers and Nick Lentz. And again, this is a situation where young pitcher, as I described with Steele, they're really dependent on. At least most of them are dependent on the umpire and their catcher. Catcher's tries, but the umpire is almost like he tells you whether you've been a good boy or bad boy. And these kids hear it, they feel it. You don't say a word, and it affects them typically in a game. And like a rookie quarterback in his debut, I'm one of those guys, regardless of who it is, what DNA they have, Weathers, whatever it is, I'm fading them. And I think this is a really tough spot for a kid like Cabrera with a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind blowing from the left to right field corner, which people say that doesn't affect a 90 mile an hour fastball from the mound to home plate, I beg to differ, and it does. Much like John will tell you how much a 4-foot putt is affected by a 10-mile-an-hour wind. How can a 10-mile-an-hour wind affect a 5-foot putt? It does. And in this situation, I think the play is on Gray, who's been really good guy. This guy is the most, when you give up Scherzer, you're going to get something in return. And this kid was well worth that return. In my opinion, I'm going to get Gray tonight over. And then that's over the Marlins in South Florida down there. Tony's probably got tickets to that game. He's probably going to go to it. He's probably got money on the fish. And on all
Neither. That would be a 3-hour drive. Ben, come have a beer Friday, Saturday, or Sunday with me.
Okay.
Be around.
All right. What? How about this Saturday?
Right, this Saturday.
Yeah.
This Saturday.
He's going west.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to fly down to South Miami. I don't want to go. It's too humid down there.
No, nobody wants to go to the Marlins Park.
Okay, book it.
All right, we got Washington Nationals minus 105 on Bet MGM.
Yes.
Is what I'm using for this show. And we're 64% winners the last 20 shows. So now we're starting to get a pretty damn good sample size that at least reflects for 20 shows that we might know what we're talking about.
Yeah. We got a long way to go. 162 shows.
One at a time.
Come on, Tony.
Tony Mejia.
Spit it out.
All right, I am going to fade Brandon Woodruff because of what he did to me in my first 5 bet against the Cardinals last time out, where it was 4-2, bottom 5, and he had 2 strikes. First of all, he let up a bunch of hits, and then he gives up that 3-run homer to Tyler O'Neill, and then another home run back to back. And look, the Brewers have lost 6 of the last 8 games that he started. One of the wins was in extra innings against the Reds. But I'm also going to fade Luis Castillo because I can't trust him either. So what we'll ride with is the over on 7.5 runs. Hope that the Reds bullpen gets mixed in there too. Woodruff has only pitched more than 6 innings in one of his last 5 starts. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe it's the sticky stuff. Maybe it is just him running out of steam. His ERA is still obviously at 2.48. He's still obviously worth a damn. But I think he's gotten too cute of late. I mean, I've watched him pitch the last few times. Really not challenging hitters as much as he was early in the season. I'm not sure what's going on. And Castillo, he can combust in an inning at any point, at this point. So I haven't played it yet, so all my 3 baseball plays are client plays right now. But I'll probably add it to my package. I've got a 5%, and I do a 5% plus with and I'll probably add this one too. So maybe it's a 2% play, but we'll give it out on the show. We like the over in the Reds and Brewers, and I don't know if you'll have time for it, but tonight is a very interesting All-Star game, the MLS All-Star game, which is for the first time MLS against Liga MX of the Mexican League. So it's the Mexican League stars and the best players in the MLS. And ironically, there's, I think, 4 or 5 Americans in the MLS squad, probably double that in Mexicans in the in Liga MX. But there's a ton of international stars, guys who play in South America, and even some guys from Spain and whatnot. So should be a good watch. And I like Liga MX because they won the skills competition last night. Still a more complete league, and you're getting, I think, $1.25 because it should be a competitive game. That's my free play on WagerTalk, so might as well shed some light on it here. But yep, we're on a 5% tonight in MLB, and we'll go ahead and go with the over for this show's purposes in Cincy and Milwaukee.
Awesome. So I have over 7.5 minus 110, and let's move to Jesse Schule.
All right. Well, you boys from Philly are going to like this. My play involves the Phillies, and of course they've been struggling lately, and but they got their ace going today, so might be a good spot for them to bounce back. But I don't think so.
I don't either.
That's a good fake out.
Wheeler's been rocked in his last 2 starts. And you look at his overall body of work. He's had 25 starts, and the Phillies are 14-11 in those games. But if you adjust for one-run games, if you hand him a loss in one-run games, he's 10-15, and he's going against a Rays team. Won 7 of the last 8. They won yesterday in a low-scoring game. Better overall team, better overall bullpen. More dependable. Phillies have lost 6 of 8. I like the Rays plus the runs, plus 1.5 on the road. Fairly reasonable price at -150, -155, depending on the book. So I'm taking the Rays for my best bet today.
All right. Rays money line over.
Also,
Who are they playing
back
again?
to the MVP.
Raise run line. Raise run line or raise money line?
Run line.
Run line,
line.
John.
Okay, good catch.
Back to the MVP. You can get Joey Votto at 22-1 at Bet365. If anybody is
Now,
actually
Jesse? Is that run line? Is that the plus? You're taking plus 1.5, or are you just going to take the alternative and just go ahead and play the Rays or play the Rays at -1.5? Probably be plus 250.
We've been through this before with me. I'm a heavy favorite bettor. I play the high percentage plays. My aim is to hit 60% or better. So I'm going to lay the chalk -155 plus 1.5.
Nice. All right. Okay.
A lot of people don't like that, but
no, I don't. I don't like it. I mean, I don't do it. I don't do it. I don't like it. I just don't do it.
That's the way I do things.
That's fine.
Works for me.
Nobody here is, at least I'm not going to tell you.
There's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say.
And there's more than one way to assassinate the person that skins the cat. It's kind of like cat.
The Phillies aren't skinning any cats lately, are they?
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Somehow the word cat is making me a little nervous.
You should. Catwoman, pussycat.
That's why I stay away from brothels and other types of places like that.
Not me. Spanish Moon.
I've seen what's happened to you.
Could be worse.
I think so. My turn here, and then we'll let Rob Veno pull up the anchor slot here.
All right.
So believe it or not, there's a golf tournament tomorrow, Tony Finn. I mean, F and Tony.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me all about it.
It's in Owens Mills, Maryland.
Oh, I've been there once.
It's the BMW Championship. 7,542 yard golf course by Tom Fazio, par 72. And earlier I gave a list of 21 players for a DraftKings pool.
Yes.
I've been doing pretty well with the DraftKings lineups.
John Daly, right?
John Daly he narrowly missed qualifying for this event. There's only 70 golfers in this. It's the second one of the FedEx Cup. They'll be whittled down to 30, and then those 30 go to Atlanta, and the winner gets the winner of the points of the FedEx Cup for the whole season gets awarded $25 million.
Yeah, that's just really. I wouldn't take this time of year out of my schedule for $25 million. It's football season. What the hell's wrong with these guys?
Well, they missed by a week.
I know.
So I mean, it overlaps just by a week. I think they'll be all right.
I don't think so.
So I have 3 top 10 bets that I'm going to share, and it's Patrick Cantlay, Cam Smith, who lost in the playoff to Tony Finau with just an errant drive off the tee. I think he's not going to have any letdown.
Did Finau win?
Finau won.
Wow. Now that's evidence. The first for everything. Go ahead. I'm listening. Keep going.
Somebody on this show called that.
I did.
On last week.
I called it fix is in. That's what I said. If Finau won, it's a fix is in. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I mean, humbly said, I think I had him and 4 other names that all hit the top 10s.
I think.
But nevertheless.
Yeah.
It's what have you done for me lately? Last week doesn't matter.
Right.
Cam Smith plus 175 and Webb Simpson at plus 200 to make top 10s in this event. And I will be putting a little pizza money. These are pizza money bets, so we're going to have separate records for the pizza money bets as opposed to the game, the show bets, best bets.
Complicating your life, John Machine Gun Kelly.
I mean, you're not going to put 5 units on Cantlay to win.
unless you know he's going to win.
Pretty hard to fix a golf match.
Oh,
To lose it, yeah.
Out
But
of the
to
mouth
actually
of
fix
babes.
it for somebody to win?
Yeah.
I don't know.
25 there's $25 million to split. I think they can fix this bitch. I think they can do it. Go ahead.
And then matches will be, I hate to say it this way, matches will be whatever MGM has against Dustin Johnson, because he is definitely heading in the wrong direction. He's kind of resembling the, maybe not the Baltimore Orioles, but the Oakland A's, as we talked earlier in the show. And I'm not, I can't back him.
Get a hold of Chris, because Chris will tell you when he's using and when he's not using. He says he has he has that meter, he can tell. So I don't know if Dustin's using again. Probably a good play against him.
Well,
allegedly.
By comparison, I would rather take Spieth or McIlroy at 22-1 to win it over Dustin Johnson, who's also 22-1. McIlroy had his worst tee to green in terms of the metrics that he's had probably in his career in that fourth round. And he has a tendency to have those kind of rounds, and he didn't shoot a really bad number, but he was just horrible. It was a horrible round that the score kind of masked. But if anybody's going to bounce back with everything on the line to get to Atlanta, I would not bet against McIlroy. I would bet against Johnson. And I think Spieth, the way he's playing right now, could be, on that Sunday leaderboard, competing for the win to get to Atlanta.
All right.
So that's how I feel about it. I would fade Johnson, though, fairly aggressively. How's that?
Okay.
Mr. Veno, you get to be the anchor. And I renamed this more appropriately. This round of the show is called Last Call. I thought that was more appropriate. Manny appreciated it because it really is. It's last call at the pub. So,
all right. It's an early quitting time for drinking, but okay.
Saddest music in the world is played at last call time, from what I hear.
When you scramble to make sure that you get a winning proposition.
Well, I don't know. We don't have last call here.
No, you don't.
No, we don't.
It's true.
Yeah.
Tony Finn scrambles for something else.
It'd be hurting to get up at 10 a.m. for these football games on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
There is no.
It's a different life.
There's no clocks. There's no open close. You don't look up online and say, "Hey, man, I wonder if that joint's still open." It's open, or it used to be at least. COVID's made some dents in that, but it's open.
I hear it's busy mask season out there.
It's just insanity. Tony, listen to me. Not only do you need to bring your best mask, and
I ordered one.
Okay, good. You need to bring penicillin and a few other things. And I'll send you a text on what you need to bring.
Okay.
Checklist.
Yeah.
You could fit all that in on a text that he's going to have to bring?
Well, it was. I don't mean. Yeah. Well, I don't mean it literally. I'm not going to put the penicillin in my phone. No, I can spell it out though.
What I heard is nice about Vegas, Tony, is that
nope, it's not true.
If you're like a friendless type of guy and you just fly out there to check it out, that you can actually like rent friends by the hour. I understand.
By the minute.
Like if you're really lonely, you can
sure,
get
buy a drink for somebody.
You can rent them for a
That
lifetime.
will not be happening for me.
How much money do you have? That's how long you can rent them for. Forever.
All right, Mr. Veno.
Yes, sir. You want me to go?
You're a free pick.
All right, so I'll make it easy. I'm going to fade the COVID-ridden team tonight. I'll play the Indians first 5, minus a half a run, minus $1.35. Texas, the coronavirus just ripping right through that entire lock. It affects every level of it, including the starting pitcher tonight, right? It was supposed to be Spencer Howard. Instead, he's on the IL now with COVID, and it's going to be Jake Latz. You lose your starting catcher. You lose a couple of third basemen, depth. The whole those shooting matches running right through. They're trying to figure out where it started, how they're going to end it, but it could even affect more guys. Looked at the starting lineup before it, and not that Texas' lineup was any good to begin with. but there's a couple of pieces they can't go to here. So we're going to play Cleveland with Zach Plesac, who actually against Texas has been really, really dependable in his 2 starts. And again, matchup-based lineup here. You would expect him to perform well against this particular lineup. Young, obviously they have their moments at time, but overall they haven't been good. Cleveland's lineup actually has not been bad as of late. Going to try and stick this to 5 innings because for whatever reason, Cleveland's bullpen, which had been pretty good to start the season, has become somewhat questionable over the last couple of weeks. Texas is, as I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to play full game, can't fault you because Texas bullpen is minus a lot of arms, and there's a lot of young arms. Just it's almost like the 40-man roster has been unleashed on Texas at this point in time. We don't know who's in, who's out. But I'm going to play it that way. Cleveland's been pretty competitive as of late. They lose last night. I'll look for a bounce back here, and we'll play against Texas and their COVID problems. First 5, minus half a run, minus $1.35 behind Plesac.
Doug Eddings, Rob. Yep. Doug Eddings behind is wearing the vest, and the top 10 pitcher friendly. So if you value experience, I think on the mound and being able to understand who's calling balls and strikes, you have to give the edge to Plesac too there, even though he hasn't been great. He's lost that. Listen, he's really not getting that slider across, but it's Texas, right?
It's funny too with him because his quote was, "My pitches feel really good." His last 11 games, he's given up at least 1 home run in his last 11 starts.
Yeah. I looked at his numbers this morning.
I
wanted to play
like
the under
the arm slot
in this
is
game.
there.
I wanted to play the under in this game, but I didn't.
I'm going to tail that bad boy first 5 innings.
There you go.
Situational
really
play, guys, against a team that's just in rough shape. Like I say, as of 3 hours ago, they still had a team representative trying to figure out if they're gonna lose more guys before the start of this game or where the heck it even came from. They don't know as of yet where it even came from. So situationally, we'll go against Texas tonight with Cleveland. First 5, minus half a run, minus $1.35. Let's go, Zach Plesac.
And Anthony.
Yes.
Remember that you see what's happening in Texas, where they don't care, they don't believe that there's a virus. They don't
on the road.
require masks. They don't require masks. We got a bunch of people from Texas up here this weekend, so I'll find out where they're staying, and we will avoid that joint.
Texas Station, that's the place to go.
Oh no,
it's where Dilly's or
Tilly's
or.
Oh, I think they imploded that once the Urban Cowboy movie shoot was over.
I don't know. Last time I was there, it was hopping.
Yeah, it's still it's like a tourist trap. It's like going to Boston and walking into Cheers. Remember
Cheers? Tony. All right, so
friend or
did I conclude it? Or do we have to hear more golf? Hey, John, let me ask you real quick before we get off air here. Are we doing college football tomorrow or Friday? Did you decide what day you want to do college football with us?
Yep. Tomorrow will be college football. There's only there's 5 games. But we'll tackle that and balance it evenly with baseball for this week. But then next Thursday, we have a gauntlet of games in college football. Gauntlet means a lot, Tony.
Huh?
So it'll be more focused, like 80% college football and 20% baseball, and then Friday is our NFL party day. We can talk about the Circa. We can talk about Super Contest.
When are we going to work?
I'm doing the U.S. Championship.
What day is that going to be?
Fridays.
Oh, Friday. I think I'm busy.
Yeah, you do too many shows to ever work. You're on every show imaginable.
Well, no, but I got to work.
I know.
And so if I got to pick and choose when I'm going to work, I love you guys. I love John Machine Gun Kelly, but it's probably going to be during a golf show. When I'm going to work.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got to go wrap up my gold sheet writing so I can be all good for my trip, so I don't have to do anything.
Tony M, when are you leaving?
I am leaving at 5 a.m. ish on Friday morning and landing in Vegas at about 9.
4:30.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I used to love leaving mine. I would leave at 6:30 and arrive in Vegas at 6:35.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to do, and then I'm heading straight to Circa, signing up, having some drink tickets. I know Ralph Michaels is hanging out at some point. I heard from Brian Leonard. I know Marco's going to be out.
I talked to Brian this morning. He still doesn't have a car, so he's probably going to require that you get a Uber and go pick him up. By the way.
All right. Well, I'll figure something out. I know he's hesitant to going down to the Strip, so maybe I'll see him Sunday.
He moved out in the ghetto out here. He's a neighbor of mine now. He's living in the ghetto with me.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys should Uber out together and drive safely.
I will at some time give you the funniest car story ever heard. It's a Brian Leonard car story. Very, very good. Very, very appropriate.
But Tony, I will Slack you. I'll send you a personal Slack, and I'll give you the DL on. All the phone numbers and all the doctor numbers you're going to need while you're here. I'll send them all over.
All right. I plan on playing it low key. I think because of the early Saturday college football, my Friday is going to be more low key than my typical Fridays there. And then
you're scheduling a Vegas trip. You're planning your Vegas trip. There's only one way to plan it. You have to get here. And then you got to kind of play it by, shoot.
No, that's true. I just know I want to watch the Saturday morning college football games. I'll pass on the New Mexico State and what is it? Who are they playing? The other garbage team?
UTEP.
On that.
The I-10, the Battle of I-10.
Yeah, if I miss that one, I think I'll live.
Fade UTEP, all costs.
If I miss that one, I think I'll live. All right, boys.
All right, so to recap here, we're Nationals minus 105, over 7.5. In the Brewers, minus 110. Liga Mix, minus 125. Patrick Cantley, Cam Smith, Webb Simpson, Pizza Money, no more than 0.5 units. If these bets are 3 units, for example, 0.5 for the pizza bets to make top 10. So again, Cantley, Cam Smith, Webb Simpson, top 10s. We have the Rays run line. I forget who they're playing tonight. Indians on the minus 1.5. Oh, no. Indians first 5, minus 135.
There you go.
And tomorrow Rob's going to tell us the Brian Leonard car story that I bet you is hysterical.
Take 20 seconds, but you'll laugh for 3 minutes. It's worth it. Brian's
well, tell it now because I won't be there.
Brian's a good guy.
Yeah, you might as well tell it now, and you can tell it again tomorrow, and I'll pretend to laugh twice.
All right, well, listen, here's the story. Brian Leonard, when I was out there, used to drive an absolute beat-up brown Datsun, if you can remember what Datsuns look like.
Oh, my goodness.
And anybody who knows Brian wants to know what the hell's Brian doing driving a Datsun anyway.
How did he get in it?
So we have a Tuesday lunch schedule for a whole bunch of handicappers, and Brian shows up in one of those like white Lincoln Continentals that Frank Cannon used to drive in that TV show. And he gets out, and he's got a new car. So he comes in, of course, you want to know about the new car, and he says, listen, I had 2 choices. Lose weight or buy a bigger car. So I bought the bigger car.
I didn't mean to spoil that story. Now I get it, yeah.
That was Brian. And now I don't know what he drives. Honest to God, I haven't seen him in a couple of years. I haven't seen him.
He blew through a rod. He didn't have one.
Oh, well, there you go. No car.
That's why
he came by to visit his dad earlier this year, so I met him already. But it'll be good to have a beer.
He's as good as it gets. Gets, Brian.
So gentlemen, threw a rod up through the hood of the engine.
Threw a rod?
Yeah, boy, the
cylinder. He threw a rod out of the. No, it didn't run.
Oh, okay.
Tony Mejia, how did that test run of college football today go today?
It went really well. It was very smooth. It was Rainieri, Kokin, and Ralph and myself. So, it went well. We're going to do another one tomorrow. And then Friday, I guess, you're on, right? Friday?
I've got Friday, yeah.
And then you guys are looking at week 0 games. So tomorrow we're covering conferences. Today was like the Heisman, ACC, and Big 12.
Very nice.
Big plays,
Awesome.
big day, college football.
Yeah.
College football today. Yeah, check
right,
out the
gang.
replay. I'm sure it'll be up somewhere. All right, guys.
All right,
Okay,
so thanks for your time, and we got to sign off all the correct way. Otherwise, we'll jinx ourselves. So for Tony Mejia, effing Tony, myself, Jesse Schule, and Rob Veno, may all the wins be yours. Thanks for listening.